Hi, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about anger in childhood in our beautiful children. And before I go anywhere, I would like to tell you a story. About a year and a half ago or more, but approximately that, due to the way that I had structured my life, I had to leave my daughter in my home country with my mom and come back to Germany. Um, and when I went back home to my daughter, she was a I'm not gonna say a different person, but she was very angry. I didn't see it immediately. It took about a day for me to see. She was very angry. Like at the slightest thing, she would just go and bang the door. And I mean, bang the door. And the girl has some strength in her arms. That is not very, that doesn't match her size. Um, yeah, she was very, very angry. And felt I was very uncomfortable every time she would bang the door like that, and it would make me angry as well. But yeah, children have this amazing ability to make us feel exactly the way that they are feeling. Um, and I had some interesting discussions with my mom, interesting discussions that made me very, very, that annoyed me and made me very uncomfortable because my mom believed that I shouldn't let her be angry. I should stop her from being angry or just let her know that she cannot bang the door like that. And yes, sure, it's not safe to bang doors that hard. Um, but yeah, that I should like be very strict with her and let her know that this is not the way. But in my heart, I just knew that I just connected to it and I knew that she was angry because I wasn't there. And now at that moment, she felt safe enough to let it all out. All the anger, all the weight, all the discomfort that was inside of her that she had to hold while I wasn't there. And even if, yes, she felt really comfortable with my mom is not her mom. And it's a, I like to see it as a blessing that our children feel so good around us, ideally, feel so good around us that they reserve their worst behavior for us because they trust that we would be able to hold that and hold space for them to navigate whatever they're going through. And I say words in quotation marks just for explanation purposes so we can understand each other because there is only two forms of communication. I learned this from Tony Robbins' recent challenge, and he said that there are only two forms of communication: one, a loving response, and two, a cry for help. Under which of these two categories would you classify an angry child or a child that has angry responses? It is definitely not a loving response. So we would put it on the a cry for help. And in this situation, it was definitely a cry for help. And I thought it would be a great example to illustrate how our children feel inside is not nothing. They're not just angry for nothing. And yes, maybe someone would say that okay, this situation is understandable enough for a child to be angry, but let us really think about it. We've been on this earth for a while. If we have children, even if you are severely underage when you have a child, you're still way older than your child and you have experience, you have earth school experience, and you know that certain things do not deserve your anger, do not deserve your attention, but your child doesn't know that. And it's definitely not about aggravating the situation and being like, oh, you're right, you should be totally angry, I would be so mad, I would even be crazy, a lot more angry than you are right now if I were in the situation. It's not about that. It's about validating whatever they're feeling. I see that you're really upset right now. Such this kinds of phrases are things that we should say, or that I choose to say to tell my child when she's angry. And to go back to the story that I was telling, I sort of digressed, but this anger situation went on for quite a while, for about a month, and it was very, very upsetting for me. It didn't happen every day, but it happened every time it happened. It was big enough to be noticed. And I just learned with time to just sit with her and just be there and just hold her and just let her cry it out. And with time, it just disappeared. It just literally disappeared. Um, and sure, I told her to please not bang the doors when she's angry, for fear that they would just fall on her, even though the doors are really strong. But the strength with which she was able to bang those doors was really crazy. But anyways, this goes just to say that we should have more compassion towards our children. Um, we may not always understand what they are feeling, and we may not always be able to put ourselves in their shoes and understand it perfectly. And we don't have to. We just have to hold the space for them to go through whatever they are going through. And when it's done, it'll be done. And maybe give them the tools that they need um, to calm down their nervous system. But we should definitely not try to talk them out of whatever they're feeling. For example, saying, I've had situations where I would be visiting someone, and maybe this is when my daughter was very young, but these are things that happen every day in most families. In many, many families, I've witnessed it a lot of times, even with other children that were not mine. Um, where a child would get upset and someone, a nice, loving adult, would tell this child, oh, it's not that bad. It's really nothing. You shouldn't be crying about this. Like, don't cry about this. Come, let's do this instead. And they try to distract this child from whatever they are feeling. The issue with that is when you distract a child from what they're feeling, or when you tell them that they should not feel this way, they learn not to trust themselves. See how we turn out as adults in therapy and all sorts of things, trying to figure out ourselves. Let's stop perpetuating the disorders and the craziness. Um, we need to validate what the child is feeling, and if it makes us uncomfortable, let's just kindly and sweetly take ourselves out of the situation, out of the room for a few minutes, and be the adults. The adults. I don't know how we have completely forgotten what it means to have a child, what it means to be the adults in the room. We tend to remember this perfectly when we are interacting with other people that are our age. And maybe there's an argument, and you would hear people say, I'm gonna be the adult in this circumstance. I'm gonna be the grown up here. Maybe you can't understand what I'm talking about. You can't relate to this example, but I've heard that quite a bit. And it's funny how when it comes to children, we forget that we are the adults, and we're supposed to show our children how to act when they feel the way that they feel. They're learning from us. And if we show them that their emotions are not valid, and yet they have these emotions in their bodies and they don't know what to do with them, and that's why they're acting out. They don't know what to do with them. We're supposed to show them what to do with it, or at least hold the space for them. And when we say hold space, it's nothing crazy. It's basically just being there and just telling your child, letting them know that I see you, I'm here for you, and ideally put your phone down. Not ideally, put the phone down. Because you can't hold space for someone while being distracted, because holding space for someone is energy, and they can feel your energy in you, and that's why you don't necessarily need to talk. And that's also why sometimes when you even talk trying to hold space and you're all in all sorts of places in your mind, it doesn't work, because it's about your energy, how you, the presence that you bring to the situation that is able to soothe your child. Because children, contrary to popular belief, are not able to self-soothe. They are not able to self-soothe. They do not know how to self-soothe, and they're not going to learn to self-soothe by being forced to shut up, by being told that their emotions are not valid, by, you know, you've probably heard it in your own childhood, or seen how other people react to towards children's anger. We're so uncomfortable with anger. We're so uncomfortable with feelings in general when it comes from children. You're overreacting. There's no such thing as overreacting. From our perspective, we've had experience. We know that it's nothing. It really isn't anything. And they'll figure it out if you give them the space. But when you tell them, don't cry, or I'll give you a reason to cry. Imagine, imagine your spouse or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or whatever said that to you and you were feeling really bad or something was just really deeply upsetting to you or maybe lightly upsetting and they told you, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing. Like if you cry, I'll give you a proper reason to cry or all that nonsense that we throw at children. How would you feel? You would probably break up with them, throw a bigger tantrum, be crazy mad at them, and many other things that I can't think about right now. But you definitely would not be happy because we all want to be surrounded by supportive people. So, do you think that our children do not want to be supported as well? They need to be supported. They need to be supported actually more than we realize it, which is really sad because we have a tendency in our society to push children to grow too fast, to push children towards independence that they haven't reached yet, and doesn't lead anywhere nice. And the funny thing is, the places where children, okay, my daughter is singing, the the places where our children need to be trusted in their ability to perform, we do not trust them, or we do not even give them the benefit of the doubt. I'm going to give you a silly example. I was at the supermarket one day, um, in one of my favorite cities in Germany, Bremen, and while I was stepping out, there was this man with his two children. There was a boy and the other one I can't really remember. But this little boy was about, I would say 6, maybe 5. I'm not sure. And the child was like, "Daddy, Daddy, let me carry the groceries." And this man told this child that only daddy is able to carry the groceries. You're too weak. You're not strong. Oh my god, it was so harsh. Let that child figure it out for themselves. Like you could tell them, it's kind of heavy, it's not good for your back, or like try and see if you can lift it, but like adjust your knees so you don't hurt your back. Let them figure it out for themselves. And yeah, I know that sometimes we're busy, we're tired, but we're the adults in the situation. We are the adults. And if we're not able to be the adults and do what we're supposed to do, why are we having children? Why? Anyways, I rest my little case. We should hold let's hold more space for ourselves so that we can hold the space for our children when they need it. Yeah. Thank you for watching. Bye.